Hello, everyone. Anything to anybody?
Hello.
I heard someone say take the top 6 people you hang out with and then average their, amount of money that they make, and that's what you're going to make. And so if you're hanging out with bums that,
Yep.
are not ambitious, then you need to change your friend circle a little bit.
That's the truth. You don't
And
want to be mean, but
and
yeah.
it's not that I want to have wealth for me, because honestly, let's be honest here, fellas. I could live in a tent in the woods and eat candy bars and
Right.
beg for food. Like, I don't care. Like, for me, I'm just whatever. But
Right.
Well,
I want to
you're
leave.
gonna have 6 kids.
I want to leave behind. Yes, I want to leave behind something for them. It's not for me. It's not. It's for them. Right now, I'm currently split in my mind. As far as I'm of two opinions. One is that we could go Tyler Jenks hyperwave and go to Dow Jones 100,000, and that this is just a pause in the market to trade sideways till we hit a trend line, and then bam, we're off to the races.
Hence the melt up, man. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, if we're having unlimited money supply and we're going to just melt up, then there you go. And it kind of falls in line with the Dr. Jim Willie, where he says the dollar will go up, 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 up,
Yeah,
and
the
up some
Scheich
more.
dollar, the Scheich dollar, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm of that mind. And then I'm also of the mind that it's possible. I know, David, you've said that we would pull back to pre-COVID levels, I think is what your thought was. And I look at the market and I go, yeah, easily. In fact, I even think we could go lower than that. Like,
Yeah, well, my thesis is you take out all that bubble. Anybody who looks at the market clearly can see a bubble over the last 15 years.
But we also, and the reason why I think that way is because if you look at the Nikkei and the Japan, they had the lost decade where it was 10 years of down, 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 down after an extreme high. And I don't even think they've made it back up there again.
Oh.
And I go, well, we could do that too. Without a blow off top, like a real blow off top, it would just kind of look like we're going down now. But what that would do is it would kind of prolong the I want to use the Star Wars theme. Yeah. The Imperial alliance would benefit from that, because it would prolong the dollar and it would allow them to gain more of a foothold and in turn more destruction for us on our end, those of us that have savings and are trying to grind it out. So I don't know, it's destructive either way. I don't think hyperinflating is the answer either, because I mean, look at just with this little blip that we've got from 2008 until now. There is no Gen Xer or millennial. Oh, not Gen Xer. Some Gen Xers are doing fine. Millennials can't get houses. They can't.
Well, let me just cut to the people who are in charge, the Fed, the government, whoever, the powers that be. Do you think they care more about maintaining the dollar in the system, or do you think they care more about the people who are in the markets?
They care about control. I don't think they care about the dollar either. They don't care what form the money takes, so long as they have control over it. And I think that they're colluding. The banks and the Fed and governments are now, it's fascism, and so they're all colluding together. And things like BlackRock, they're colluding. They're part of this system. They are buying up. What did I see?
Do you listen to Manarino at all?
Gregory Manarino? Yeah, every once in a while.
Well, that's right. He says the same thing every time. But that's what he says, is he believes that they're buying everything. They're using all this free money to buy everything, of anything real.
Yeah, if I played the game of Monopoly and I had just was able to dip in and take all the money out that I wanted, every time I landed on something, I would look around and say, "Oh, is this space taken? No, okay, I'm buying it." And I think that's kind of what they're doing now. You can see. I don't judge them on what they say. I judge them on what they're doing. And so when I see that BlackRock has they raised like $67 billion for a rainy day fund, which is AKA when they crash the housing market all the way down.
It's like Warren Buffett.
Yeah. So then they'll just buy everything up with pennies on the dollar because they're not dumb. And so they're okay with smashing it. The cycle is part of the system. And I love, David, that you mentioned in our earlier show that we need to stop talking about how bad everything is and actually figure out how to make money, because this is what we need to do. We need to have capital. We need to build capital, which is wealth, so that we can actually have options. And I think that's why I'm diversified in 4 different businesses, because I need to have that, I need to make money here at the coffee shop and make money over here today while I'm, working on the tractor, and I need to make money over here in real estate. And then and I can use the market cycles to say, when do I sell the money off, or when do I sell the real estate off and pull the money in? Like that's what I'm doing now, because like I said before in my little financial journey in the beginning, dude, I looked around and no one was in charge of their finances. And that terrified me, because what I saw then at that point was everyone around me will in a crash become my dependent. So I don't want to take care of you. I'm moving to Florida. See ya.
Yeah. And so you said you mostly trade crypto. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and the reason being is that to me, the whole Dow Jones S&P 500 is a corrupt market. And the reason is because you can only trade Monday through Friday during certain hours. But if you're an institutional investor, you can trade after hours. And that's how you get gaps down. So you're left bag holding, and on the open, you're down here. And you can't trade. You can't get out of your position. They can headhunt you for your leverage long or your leverage short to just get you out of your position and wipe you out. And I go, I don't want that. I want to trade a market that's open 24/7. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I want to be able to turn on my computer and look at the market, and I should be able to execute a trade at any time. And that's how a real market should be. And that's an actual free market. So that's why I have, up until the last several months, have only traded crypto. So I recently opened up a Robinhood account, which I swore I never would do because of their corruption and what they did. However, there are some things where I can leverage short on the Robinhood account using BITI, the BD, and go short on Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin was at 69,000.
Well, you could argue that's when the banksters got their tentacles into crypto and Bitcoin, is when they got these option contracts on them.
Exactly. And that's when the 2017 crash happened, the day that you could leverage short Bitcoin. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's too coincidental.
Right. Silver and gold and oil have been suffering from this for decades.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to use the excuse that, they hold most of the cards, so I can't play the game. So I'm going to play it to the best of my ability, and I have to be even wiser about when I do play in their arena. But with crypto, it's a little bit easier. I like that arena. But you can see them attacking crypto right now because they are also afraid of it. Coinbase talking about going overseas, things like that.
Well, are you surprised that Bitcoin has actually bounced back in 2023?
No.
You're not?
Because it needed a bounce. I think it needed a technical bounce before going lower. I don't think this is it.
Oh, no, I don't think. But I mean, it could. I mean, I can see the argument. I mean, if the banks continue to implode,
36 is my target bounce.
Yeah, well, right. Dan and I talked about this before. I don't remember the numbers, but there's very clear delineations on the Bitcoin. But if the banks start imploding, where do people put their money?
Well, yeah. So I know that God bless the gold and silver guys, because I was investing in that way before crypto ever came around, hoping and praying that it would do something. And I was such an advocate. However, I see that there's so much control in that market.
Yeah, you're like Max Kaiser now.
What's that?
You're like a Max Kaiser now. He used
Yeah.
to be a big silver gold guy.
Yeah, I know. I
And
wish
Andy Hoffman. You know Andy Hoffman?
love him. He's great.
Yeah, he is great.
Yeah, Max Kaiser's a legend. Oh,
well, think about how much courage it takes. See, Andy Hoffman got attacked, but think about how much courage it takes. You make your business in silver and gold, and Kaiser and Hoffman. They were both huge advocates for a long, long time, and they both flipped 180 degrees.
Yeah,
it takes extreme amount of integrity and courage to make that switch.
Yeah. I'm so proud of the stones on those guys, man. They are epic. I'm glad we have men like that out there that are speaking their mind, because Max Kaiser, he's such an intelligent person. I love that about him. He's just so great, and he's not condescending intelligent. He's like I could have a beer with him, and he could talk way over my head, and I'd love every minute of it.
Yeah, he's a very bright guy, and he's as you get older, you also lose your patience. So I think that's the other thing you've seen over the last 5 years. I think Max has reached the point where he's like, hey, you do what you want, but this is the answer.
Yeah. He's got Stacy. He's got a great partner. He's got some good wealth under him. He's just watching this whole thing sink, and I'm like,
And you notice he voted with his feet.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely, he did. Boy, those guys are all over the place, though. I can't keep track of where they're at now.
They're not in El Salvador still?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they've gone all in on El Salvador.
Remember when he was on RT?
Yeah, he was over in London and France.
Yeah,
London and Paris.
And I thought, man, that's cool.
Yeah, well, England started becoming tyrannical, and they left, and they came back to North Carolina, and they were there for about 5 years. And then when El Salvador went to Bitcoin, they've been I think they've been in El Salvador about a year now.
So you're in Mexico. Why would you go to Mexico instead of El Salvador? Was it family, or just you understood it better?
That's a long ansor.
Okay, we don't have to get into it.
Yeah. No, the short answer is everybody has to decide how they want to live the rest of their lives.
Sure.
And for me, number one is weather. I have to be able to get outside. And I was up in New Hampshire.
Oh, it's
and
cold.
For me going to Florida, it's the opposite side of the coin. Now it's too damn hot.
Yeah.
And so I've been coming to Mexico since 2014, and the weather here is phenomenal where I go. Yeah. And to me, getting outside every day, that is how I connect with the universe. And I find it also helps with mental health and with overall balance.
Absolutely.
And when I was stuck in the house in New Hampshire, or if I was stuck in air conditioning in Florida, no way.
New Hampshire.
Yeah. So that's why I do it. In El Salvador, the weather's terrible down there.
El Salvador.
My Mexican friends who I still keep in contact with, we had this good discussion back when Trump was in office. He was building the wall, and they were frustrated with the wall building propaganda. Yeah. And I told them, I go, guys, listen, the wall ain't being built to keep you out.
Yeah,
it's to keep me in.
That's right.
And they go, what? I go, dude, we're not going to want to be here too much longer.
Escape from New York.
COVID hit. And I was like, I told you, man, I should have just hopped that fence before it got built.
Yeah. And just like we talked about with trading, it's getting to a different culture. See, this is what happened with the United States. I mean, before 9/11, you didn't need a passport to go to Mexico or Canada. Just needed a driver's license.
That's right.
And
we used to go to Tijuana all the time.
Yeah. And only after 9/11, I think, did passport. I think maybe 40%, 40%, I think the number is, of people in the U.S. have a passport. And that's so that they can go to Mexico and Canada or the Caribbean.
Is it even that high, dude?
Well,
I thought it was like 25%.
It's been a while since I've read the numbers, but
damn it, Dave.
It's only as high as it is so to go to Canada and Mexico.
Right.
And my point is
right.
You can't really appreciate your own country or the rest of the world if you, and I'm not talking about taking a cruise or going to Cancun. I mean, where you're in a resort all day. I mean, getting out and understanding a culture, whether it's European culture, Mexico, South America, China, Russia. If you truly go there and learn another culture, it's just like trading. It opens up another side of understanding that you would not have. And that's another reason to do it, in my opinion, is just to keep an open mind.
I think you're in good company over there in Mexico. And this is from what I've seen. In the communities in Oregon, I saw fractured families that were white. I saw liberal left families that were white. However, I still saw a nuclear families that were still together and whole and growing, and active with their sons and daughters in the Hispanic community. And they still believed in God and religion. They had morals. They were easygoing. They were not judgy. And I always felt like I connected with those guys better on the job sites because we were in the trades than I did with, some of my peers that I even grew up with or went to school with. And I was like, that says a lot about their culture and how even though they've left, they've still held on to something that's important.
Yeah. Most Americans will wave a flag and say, we're the best man. We're the best man. Well, compared to what?
Well,
what are we the best at?
And even my wife,
obesity?
My wife was a school teacher, and during parent-teacher conferences, a lot of white parents would make appointments and then not show, no call, no show. But then like the ones that did show, the white parents would be, oh, it's just dad, or on the rare occasion, but mostly it's just mom. And then, and she's got a job and it's always chaos. But then the Hispanic kids, their families would all show up, sometimes with grandma. And you go, wow, this is amazing. Like, they're all here and they actually give a damn about their kid. And it's like, this is amazing. It's so night and day, and it just seems so a shame that they, that culture in general, it really
100%. The Asians are the same, tend to be the same way. The Latins and the Asians, very strong still units. They still have the old school thing where they're close, they're tight knit. Oh, by the way, to your point, Aaron, they don't jettison away the grandparents and stuff and go send them into some nursing home and I don't want to be disrespectful, but to some orderly that's making $13 an hour that doesn't give a shit about them. They can't even pay their bills, so they're friggin' miserable all the time and pissed off.
The abuse that happens in elderly care is astronomical.
It's through the roof. It's through the roof. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it's costly as hell, by the way. It runs your estate into nothing in about 3 months, the average person. They can't even swing it. I mean, we've become a society of, and there's people would say, well, Dan, you're just negative and pessimistic. No, I don't think I am. I'm just an observer. I mean, we've become of moral and ethical decay. And I'll give you four quick points here, Aaron.
Yeah.
The early 1960s is when, I forget the exact time and year, but it was in the early 1960s. This was the first stab through the heart. They took the 10 Commandments out of public view, purview.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Early 1960s. 1973, Roe versus Wade. legalized abortion. Our population is about 320 million, something like that. Since 1973, we've had about 60 million plus abortions. Were you aware of that? 60 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
So-
just in the Black community?
No, just as a whole, bro. So let's
It's
do some
so
basic.
bad.
Just do basic math. What is
Mhm.
60 divided by 300 million? 1/5. So you could argue that in the last 50, 60 years, since we've legalized abortion, we have jettisoned away approximately 20% of our population right off the bat.
Yeah.
We've killed them. So my argument would be, out of that 60 million people, that's a lot of people, bro. 60 million people. How many of those would have contributed to mankind in ways we can't even conceive? They might have been scientists, who knows, lawyers, doctors, who knows? Maybe out of the 60 million, one of them might have discovered the cure of cancer. I know I sound like an ideologue, but you don't know. 60 million is a lot of people, right?
Yeah, and it's like I was saying earlier that they just keep having these endless wars, World War I, World War II,
100%.
and endless wars. It's population control.
100%.
So is COVID. That's
Yeah.
population
Yeah.
control
Drugs.
with the vax.
So that's the second
So-
spike.
so-
Second spike, yep.
So
Yeah.
is something so basic like
Yeah.
your 70 vaccinations you should get before you graduate high school, which is another agenda to control population. And when they introduced the NATO round of the 5.56, it was basically like, well, this bullet won't kill you, but it'll injure you. So now we got 2 men on the field. They got a medic to drag the dude off, who is now a non-combatant, and then the non-combatant who is injured. So they were
Great
trying
point.
to, kind of do that. Well, they're doing that with the vaccines too, with the vaccinations. Look at the rate in autism that's going up through the roof. So now you have a person who is,
Yeah,
Um,
RFK's have been talking about that for years.
yeah. I mean, now you have a family that has to take care of a disabled person for the rest of eternity. They'll never be really
yeah.
powerful members of society because
or
they
productive.
yeah. And so now you've disabled the family itself. Like it can't really function like and be streamlined like
Yeah, but Aaron, sorry to interrupt, bro, but that's normal. That's the new norm, right? With if you put my fingers up in the air, making quotes, that's the new norm, right? So we're supposed to accept all this crap. So anyway, that was the second spike. The third spike in the heart is the late 70s, right? Basically, no fault divorce. Think about it. No fault divorce, right?
Yeah.
Right. Most states, if not all, are no fault divorce, meaning that you can get a divorce for any reason, anytime, for the slightest whatever. If your left ass cheek is itchy, you can file. It's no fault.
That broke families right there.
Yeah. If that doesn't tear families apart, I don't know what does. And then the fourth blow, if you will, with the sledgehammer, 2015. And nothing against our gay brothers and sisters, but 2015 legalizing gay marriage.
Yeah.
So take God out of the public, legalize abortions, make divorce easy as pie. You can go out on the internet and pull up a template to file in like 10 minutes, no problem. And then number 4, legalize gay marriage. If that doesn't destroy the foundation of any society, I don't know what doesn't. I know I don't have a PhD in psychology. I get it. I'm not an expert. I get it, but I do have common sense, right? So these eggheads would argue with me. Well, what are your credentials? What are your background? What are your studies? What papers have you cited? Well, okay, asshole, dickhead. It's called the School of Common Sense, right? Right.
Well, the demons are in control because they're pushing more and more towards Sodom and Gomorrah type society, and they're not letting up. They're not letting up. I mean, Lori Lightfoot is like a poster child for how they want a city run. And
who is? What's
Chicago?
This?
Come on now.
Former mayor of Chicago.
Oh yeah, she looks like God bless. I'm sorry, but she looks like an alien to me or something. or almost like like you were alluding to one of the devil's minions.
Yeah.
And I hate to be
she's,
like that.
She's a black female lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
Just-
she
just
qualifies.
just like the
Three-
one from the
black.
White House.
Female.
Yeah, our press secretary.
So
Yeah.
so in baseball, that's called 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, a black female lesbian. What percentage of the population is that? That's going to
They
be
cherry
what?
picked her. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
0.1%.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm really curious about the deception that is in this world is everywhere. So you can't rely on your classic education to answer these questions because you've been lied to everywhere. And I'm really basically trying to answer not all of them, but I'm trying to answer them. And if you're seeking truth constantly, then I think you're on the right path, because it's a lot harder to deceive someone who is living in truth.
You're unique in the standpoint that you're doing your own thing. Most people work for somebody, and most people are on a treadmill.
That's
Right.
And when you're on a treadmill, you can't set your own schedule. You can't set your own agenda. You have to do what you're told to do. And most people are running to stand still. They're just trying to survive.
I don't want to shit on people that have 9-to-5 jobs, but I'm saying you can use that as a stepping stone to get enough capital to take a risk and start your own thing. So you're your own boss.
They don't want it.
You
They
will
don't
work
want it.
harder.
It's too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah, you'll work harder. You'll make less money in the beginning, but the reward is that you are your own boss. You don't have anyone kicking your ass. You kick your own ass. And I think that's a testament to what a man is made of. If he's like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to punch the clock. Like a lot of folks, they just want to punch the clock. As soon as they leave work, they get their case of Bud Light. They go,
Give
they
me
start
my
vaping.
check every Friday.
They're smoking marijuana, and they're doing nothing except watching the games, the entertainment, bread and circuses, until it's time to go back to do it again on Monday. And like they have no ambitions to be any better than that. But I believe that has always been the case. There's always going to be. That's why Jesus said the road is narrow, because there's so many other people doing all this other stuff. But this road is only meant for a few of us. But I want to encourage people that aren't on that road yet to take that chance to trust God that He will provide, because that's a scary thing. Like even in the move over here, I had to liquidate businesses. I had to get rid of property. I was saying, God, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I don't. I'm asking you to give me wisdom to make the right decision for my family, because I don't know. I can't see into the future. As I kind of game theory out how I'm going to make this work, I can't see that many moves forward. And so I'm calling on a higher power to give me grace, to watch over me, to provide abundance for me. And there were times where it got scary. I was like, oh man, did I screw up? Did I screw the pooch here? Did I really mess this up? And then I was like, you know what? If I did, it's on me, but glory to God. He'll find a way. I'll do everything I can on my end. And I know God will do what He can for me when the time is right for me on His. So have faith. You don't have to grind out a 9-to-5. You do not have to work because see, the 9-to-5 is a trap. And we saw that even with my wife as a school teacher in Oregon. They said, if you want to keep your job, you're going to get vaccinated. And she came home and she had this like look on her face, like, oh my God, they're going to do this. And I was like, well, they made that easy, didn't they? And she goes, what? And I said, you're not getting vaccinated. Hell no. And she's just as awake as I am. But she was like, well, I have a family that, I'd like to make money for. I was like, they just made this so easy. You're just gonna Tell them to kick rocks. You're out of here. You're the at-home mother that I've always wanted you to be. Thank God.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of people. I'd
What a
say
blessing.
I'd say 80% of the people chose the other side.
Yeah.
They chose the jab.
Well, out of the
Okay.
entire school district, you're talking about, how many schools were there? There was like 15 schools, right?
Whereas if they had
Like
stood up and said no,
she's the only one who said kick rocks.
yeah.
I go, are you kidding me? Where are the husbands of these wives to say, no way, you're not poisoning my wife over just a few little pennies or a comfortable life? I go, no. I would choose the hard road over having you by my side healthy for the rest of my life. I don't care. That's to me a no-brainer.
And the fact that we don't have, and you know, if you've noticed over the last year, all of a sudden we started getting all these stories of these people getting ill, falling over, and then for about 3 or 4 months, all those stories went away. You didn't hear anything being reported about those people unless you knew them locally.
Media blackout.
Now the stories are starting to come back out again.
Yep.
And so at some point, are people going to be able to put 2 and 2 together and realize that they've been deceived? Time will tell. I do not have faith in the average person.
No.
And that's why I've been telling Dan and my own family, you have to worry about your own inner circle. I know it's cruel, but take a lesson from the Rothschilds and the people who run the world. They have an inner circle. That's why they control everything.
Yeah.
Because they realized, it takes community. It takes a group.
The ego of the modern man is so over that they can't come to terms with reality and admit that they were wrong. And that goes
It's a hard thing to do, man.
Yeah, it's hard to look yourself in the mirror.
That's what you learn as a trader, right?
Yeah, that's what you learn as a trader. I screwed up. I was wrong. I should never have pulled that trade off. You learn that about yourself. You go, man,
there's no hiding it, right? If you were wrong, you feel the pain.
Yeah.
In our society, people are insulated.
Yeah. Welfare. Love it. I don't have to work. I get welfare. I go, oh, you know what? You know what's also welfare? Being a kid in college forever. That's welfare because you're just living off.
I'm going to identify as a black man and move to California so I can collect my $5 million in a free house. Can I re-identify?
Yeah. What was it? Was it the movie The Jerk when Steve Martin says, I was born a poor black man?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That always gave me a kick. I always thought that was so funny. And then later I was like, well, man.
Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s, you could do stuff where people would literally, their heads would explode.
Yeah, nowadays, no way. It's crazy. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks how low we've come.
And that's the beautiful thing that I learned going over in China for the first time is they're not politically correct at all. If you had 3 heads, they'd come up to you and be like, hey, why do you have 3 heads, right? Or why are you fat? Why are you this? Because they're not going to feel embarrassed about asking you or offended. Whereas in our society, you can't ask that. You can't say that.
Oh, yeah. I'd be made totally fun of if I went there. They would call me fatty all day.
Well, it depends. I mean,
I'm trying to compete with your sumo wrestlers. Come on. I should be revered here, people.
Yeah. For that, you got to go to Japan, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. You see how I screwed that up, Dan?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's, a man has got to know his limitations.
Oh, I love that Clint Eastwood line. That's perfect.
Best line in any movie.
Beautiful.
And it truly, and it goes into one of my new favorite lines where it's, you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality.
Yeah.
It's the same line pretty much.
And
Would-
and what that's what we have now is everyone ignoring reality. And it's like, oh no, that reality is coming like a pendulum swings. You know, you're out here in La La Land, and then it comes back and it hits like a thunderbolt, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna smash us if it hasn't already. With
Yeah, and that's it. When it comes to markets or it comes to our country, the United States, I Dan doesn't agree with me, but I believe it's going to be an external influence that brings it down. When China, Russia, and the rest of the world finally say no mas,
yeah,
okay, then I don't know if you know, but Argentina once again is entering a hyperinflationary period.
yeah, I saw that.
And their currency was pegged to the US dollar until 2001. And I think the stat that I saw that if you had $1 million in pesos, equivalent to $1 million US in 2001,
Was it
today it
1-to-1?
would be worth $2,000.
Oh no, but back then it was close to 1-to-1, wasn't it?
Well, they've changed their currencies, but I'm just saying if you had the equivalent of $1 million US in
That's
pesos
terrible.
in 2001, that same amount of pesos is now worth $2,000.
Yeah, you just lost all your purchasing power.
And so
yeah.
the same thing could happen here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Same thing could happen here.
Yeah.
History is littered with examples, and nobody thinks it's going to happen here.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world may determine that it will.
I like watching the currencies, like Russian ruble versus USD, Chinese yuan, go back and forth and just make sure you keep an eye on those, because the currency market is where countries are made and destroyed. And that's the bankers doing it on their whim, however they want to economically enslave you, they'll do it right in there. That's one of the first ways they're going to do it.
And that's why if you have savings, that's one argument for holding a Bitcoin or an ounce of physical gold or physical silver.
Oh, for sure.
Is those are the things that have over history. Well, I can't say about Bitcoin, but that's the theory, is those are the things that will transport your wealth from one system to another.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were in Argentina 20 years ago and you bought physical gold, well, guess what?
Oh, you'd be doing okay.
You'd still have $1 million or more.
Right. Or even more tangible things. How is property done there? Is it done okay, or is it getting smashed too?
Well, it's like anything. I think property, when you go to foreign countries, and I actually asked the guys, do you know Doug Casey and Matt Smith? They're down in Uruguay now.
Yeah.
And I actually asked them that email they just did a video on Argentina. And I asked that question because I suspect it's like Mexico. A lot of these transactions are done in US dollars right now.
Yeah.
Because US dollar is the world reserve currency. And so if your currency is going like this, then that's more of a stable item. I think you're going to start to see where eventually people could transact in Bitcoin or in Russian rubles or an ounce of gold.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking that is because, right now we have millennials that can't afford housing because housing is just too expensive compared to living in mom's basement. Now, was it the same with people living in Argentina? Is there their generation of millennial, quote unquote, where in the timeline of their fiat currency, did it start to hyperinflate where they got kind of priced out of owning anything?
Yeah, I think the whole world over the last 20 years is hyperinflated.
Yeah, emerging markets.
We have hyperinflated.
Yeah.
When you see the stock market, that's a hockey stick. That's hyperinflation. And so you now have, property today is absurd, especially since 2020.
One thing about property is I think that the commercial market is done for now. I think it's completely toast. And I'm just from my own observations of looking at commercial property since I've been here in Florida is ruined.
It's not coming
there's
back.
not
It's
budging.
not coming back in the foreseeable future.
They're still asking insane amounts of money for it, but I think the commercial property implosion is a way to destroy the middle class even further. Because see, at some point, middle class men bought commercial property for businesses and whatnot, and then, hey, William, want to say hi? What do you got on your fingers?
Very cute. Very cute.
Bye-bye. Hold on, amigo.
Bye-bye. I love
Very
you.
Yeah.
That's funny. So at some point, middle class men bought commercial property and it hyperinflated, and they were probably boomers, just on what I've seen so far. And now the boomers don't want to let go of what they think they created on their own, which is I'm a genius. And now the commercial property is going to crash and drag all those boomers down with it. So they're not only
what is that going to do to everybody else though? Think about it.
We're screwed.
Well, if you take away federal government subsidies,
right?
How is a town and a state going to fund? In most cities and towns, I would venture to guess education is probably approximately 50% of their town budgets.
Yeah.
Right. So how is that
It's not
funded? That's funded with property taxes. So now all this commercial property that's empty, that's not paying taxes, where's that burden going to go?
Well, they're going to default, and then the
know
bank
that,
will get it
where
back.
is the tax burden going to go?
Yeah, they'll just print more, maybe.
No,
You know.
a town can't print money.
Oh, but these municipalities have ways of going to the Fed and saying, "Hey, we need money."
But at some point, that's
And they
going
get
to
a bailout.
stop. At some point, that's going to stop.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. You have to think ahead. And for all those people who bought residential property and who are buying Airbnbs because you can't lose, can you handle a double, triple, 5 times, 10 times property tax?
In Florida here, the Airbnb market collapsed. It is done. I heard people even a year ago talking about
that in the news.
Yeah, people even a year ago were talking about, oh, I'm gonna refinance my house and get this Airbnb or whatever. And I'm like, you're a moron. It's over. I timed the market.
That's what's big in Mexico right now.
I am. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I timed that market perfectly for selling my house, from when I bought it to when I sold it, and it was perfect to the month of the top. And it has been going down ever since for like a year and a half. And I'm like, dude, the market's over.
Florida?
And the only reason why I knew that the market is hot is because I was surrounded myself with intelligent people that understand market cycles and the market in general and can read a chart. And we sat down and we had meetings like this, Zoom meetings back and forth for hours, just talking about charts. And was the Fed done? Was the bubble here was it going to pop for real estate? And is this a good time to sell? And in conclusion, after about a week or so, we concluded that, yeah, it's over. And there was a lot of guys in the group.
When was this meeting?
A year and a half ago.
Okay, so 2021.
Yeah, I wish I could share charts with you, but I think we'll do that on the next one. I want to play around with you in private on how to share charts, because there's so much I want to show you with charts. And anyway, we concluded that it was over. And what I did was I wrote a honey-do list of everything I needed to accomplish on my home to get the most value out of it, most bang for my buck, to squeeze every little drop out of it. And I hit that honey-do list hard, and I did a total remodel of the house, basically, put it up on the market and crushed it all right at the top. And I was like, man, I could never have done this without learning how to trade. Ever. I could have never done this without surrounding myself with like-minded individuals. I could have never have done this without Bitcoin or trading or
point.
anything. Yeah.
Well,
And
you
so-
also don't seem like the type of guy, you do your own thing and you don't let fear stop you from doing your thing.
no,
You might acknowledge it, but you make your list and you march on.
yeah, we're marching on because I was surrounded by people saying, no, this market is never going to stop. It's going to keep going and going. And you're a fool for selling now. Your house will be worth $1 million. These people that were buying homes, brand new homes, $1 million homes a year ago, or a year, maybe a year ago, right? They got to have the biggest house on the block with the most bling, and they're paying upwards of $1 million for it. I don't want that. Because the debt burden keeps me away from what's important, which is my children and my family. So
Spot on.
I learned the lesson early on when I was
it keeps you on the treadmill.
Yeah. You want to be a slave your whole life? Chain yourself to physical possessions of this world. It's not important.
But Aaron, there's going to be a debt jubilee. They're going to forgive it all.
Yeah. Like the powers that be would ever give you a way out. No way.
Yeah.
No way. And
just for the banks, not for you.
That we're going to hyperinflate. So I'm going to need even more of an income. So the idea of owning a business and starting one is important because as inflation goes up, so can my income as long as I'm providing a good or a service. And if the inflation comes down, I can readjust and we're okay. We're still feeding ourselves. So these businesses are insulatory to whatever happens. I mean, even in Argentina with hyperinflation, there's still a dude on the street selling hot dogs somewhere, right? So he's still making it. He's still able to provide.
Yeah, well, what happens is, they create black market currencies down there. That's what's going on.
Yeah, even trade is great. I love trade. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But so I thought,
But in our country, everything's going to the bigs. For the last 10, 15 years, whenever I've traveled across the United States, I noticed the mom and pops are either for selling or out of business, and everything is owned by McDonald's, Taco Bell.
I think the mom and pops are done because most mom and pops are done with money.
It's very difficult to compete. Like your coffee shop. I mean, if your coffee...
I have six Starbucks down the road from me around the hospital. And I looked at that and I go, market's saturated with coffee. But I don't think Starbucks has a great product anymore. And this is a perfect time for me to take some of that market share.
But if they go to, think about this though. They have a lot deeper pockets than you do. If they go to 99-cent coffees and they're giving $1 away with every coffee, and they can ride you out for years.
Yeah, two blocks away is a gas station that does 99-cent coffees. People will go to good quality, good customer service, right? Clean, people that remember you.
I understand, but really important. But coffee is one of these things where it's a luxury item in many ways.
Yeah, sure.
And so if you're talking about hyperinflation where most people are getting squeezed, they're not going to be spending $5 on a cup of coffee. They're going to be making it at home.
Okay? Oh yeah.
Or giving it up. And the people who want to treat themselves, like it or not, there are people who associate Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks with fun or luxury item or a treat. And so if Starbucks gets in a jam, they'll do what Tesla's doing, right? That's how you know Tesla's done, because Tesla's cutting their prices, but they're not going against Aaron's local coffee. They're going against GM and other people who can cut their prices too.
It's almost like a David and Goliath story where obviously Starbucks is Goliath, and I would have to stay small and nimble as a company. I need to be able to turn on a dime to reinvent or put something new out there that would recapture market share back to me. So I don't believe that Starbucks can do that because it's too big. It's too big. It's like Goliath. It's like turning the Titanic. It's got too many masters above.
Well, I don't know enough about Starbucks to know if they are operator owned or if they are corporate controlled.
Oh, it's corporate controlled. I mean, it went woke. It put homeless
But a lot of the
drug
McDonald's-
addicts ahead of its actual patrons
Yeah.
because it went with the woke agenda.
I'm all for starting your own business, but I think people need to realize that we're going into this is going to be a period of time. The next, it could be happening right now. It could be happening right now. We're going into a period of time where, like you said, you better get your debts and your costs under control, people. And you better have some silver, gold, Bitcoin, whatever. You better have some real stuff. Even if you're buying Imodium or booze or cigarettes, you better have real things.
Yeah, but to get those things, you need an income, and you need a income of abundance, because you need to not only feed yourself and house yourself and everyone around you as a man, but you're also going to have extra to get those things. Now, your 9-to-5 job ain't going to give you a raise, probably. So, but you could start a business. I don't think starting a business is a bad thing. I think that starting a business is risky and hard. But if you think about it and you're smart, you can wreck it. It'll be fine. All my businesses have done really well. And I think that's because I think about them constantly. I'm always thinking about like costs, overhead, moving in the market.
Yeah, it's very simple. At the end of the day, the basics are simple, but the execution is the difficult part.
Yeah, like 1 out of 30 people that go through the drive-through at our coffee shop are like, man, I really want this. This is like my dream right here. I want to live this. It's like, dude, you have no idea how much work it took. It's not just me. I woke up one day and said, I'm just going to do this, and it's going to be so easy. It's not.
Even your business, what you're doing on the coffee, you face huge currency exchange risk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because the company you buy from is in Italy, you said.
Yep.
So the euro dollar, I mean,
the price,
last summer it was great for you.
When the coffee goes on sale, quote unquote, I stock up, man. I get as much as I can in a big order, and try to, for the next month, I'm insulated. But sometimes the price isn't on sale, and the price goes way up, and I'm like, oh, and I got to eat that cost discrepancy versus what the price of a large coffee is on the board.
Well, and that's it. When do you decide that you have to actually pass that on to the person paying for the coffee?
Well, we started squeezing it down to quarterly. So quarterly, we'll do a report and try to see where we're at with a cost analysis to make sure I'm not getting screwed, because I won't work for free. I put too much emphasis on having a good product to give it away. Now, there's a lot of people that come to the shop and go, $8 for a large mocha. They like freak out. And I go, yeah, when I was a kid, it was like $3.50. I totally get it. But, inflation, man, and I won't work for free. And once they go, oh, like inflation hits you too. Yeah, not just you at the gas pump or you getting a dozen eggs.
Yeah, today they understand inflation.
Big time. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I say, this is a luxury item. Now, you're not going on a cruise to Italy anymore, but the average American has lost a lot of
purchasing power,
disposable income, right?
Yeah.
So what they can do is Netflix and chill and get their favorite coffee locally. So I see that happening a lot, where they do staycations, right? They're like, I'm staying home. I'm staying home this weekend. I'm going to go. I will treat myself to my favorite coffee shop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that kind of thing, But I see small businesses going out of business around here all the time, and even coffee shops, and it breaks my heart, man, because I want them to succeed. I want them to crush it. I know that now they're out of business, so all their employees no longer have work. Mm-hmm. I know that the money they spent in their business is now gone to shit, and so they've lost all that capital and they're wrecked.
That's what you're going to start seeing, in my opinion. That's what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
I think you heard, because you're in touch with all this. You heard a lot of business owners after the 2020, when they had trouble finding and retaining people, they said, well, I'm not going to lay off too quickly because I don't want to go through that again. But now you're seeing businesses laying people off because it's first, when it comes to cash flow, people lay off business and they cut advertising.
Yeah, well, you can't be in the middle. You're either David and Goliath or you're nobody. You're either David or Goliath. You can't be in the middle, because if you're in the middle, it means you have too many employees and you can't suffer the hiring and losing of employees based on the whims of the market, right? If you're small and agile, look, I can just ask a couple of my girls to work longer shifts if we start getting jamming. But I can ask them too to, like, hey, who wants to volunteer to take a little more time off this week? It's easy for me. I don't have to like literally get rid of anybody. But Starbucks, right? I mean, they got deep pockets. And going back to what you said earlier, do they care more about the people or do they care more about the money? Well, with fascism, you don't care about the money. And you can see that with all these companies like Budweiser that go woke and they're pushing a LGBTQ agenda. Or even
I saw their own throats, right?
Yeah, or even who I thought I'd never see. Remember when it was Black Rifle Coffee went woke, and I was like, dude, this coffee company was supposed to be like the
wasn't that starting by veterans?
Yeah, owned by veterans, tough guy image. They went woke. I was like, dude, I can't support you anymore. I will not. I'm a coffee drinker, but I won't support you ever again. You made that decision. So yeah, it's a tough thing, man, to have to deal with wokeism all the time, and to know that the corporate companies that bend the knee to these terrible, like the NFL bending the knee, literally bending the knee, they're doing Satan's bidding by doing this stuff, and the corporations don't care about the bottom line. They don't care that you're going to go, well, I'm not going to watch it anymore. I'm done with the NFL. They don't care. Go away. They don't care. They do not care, because you know what? They got a George Soros fund that they can dip into to help back them and keep them in business. And the mom and pops can't do that.
That's it. It's I've said this to Dan for years. You know, you stick your head in a bucket of water. How long can you hold your breath for?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think that's where we're at. I think we're going to, we're really entering. I think the second half, you know, getting the timing is always the hard part. You know, you can see what's coming, but nailing the day or the month or the week, but everything is about to roll over at once. The markets, what's going on in the Ukraine, that's going to become reality. What's going on with the dollar, that's going to become reality. Everything's going to hit at once. And
that's why it's good to look at macro events, like where are these countries positioning themselves? Who's aligning with the BRICS nations? Because they will pull the trigger and collapse things or build things up based on when it's perfect for them. And so we're constantly, they're not telling us what they're doing. We have to kind of like judge their actions by what
they rotate. They rotate their money. They rotate.
Yeah.
And this is not. This hasn't, for hundreds of years, this has not been about patriotism or nationalities. People like George W. Bush and those type of people. Yeah, he was the president for the United States, but his family, they're globalists, man. And they don't care if their wealth is in Afghanistan, Mexico, China, the United States, London. Doesn't matter to them. They will rotate. And I'm sure that there are people rotating right now very silently. Very silently.
Yeah, it's kind of like the UAE went from nothing to being blown up to these skyscrapers everywhere. And
Yeah.
like what politician went in there like in say the 80s or 90s and said, I'm going to buy all this land up as much as I can. And you just kind of go, well, we're not privy to any of that. So what they did is they like you're saying, they rotated their money from the United States over to a place that in the future was going to blow up. Oh, hey, they're kind of like capitalists, but they're insiders.
Yeah, and at some point, like Ross Perot said back in the 90s when he was running for president, at some point, and he warned it. You can go back and listen to Ross Perot's debate speech with Bush and Clinton, and the giant second sound. He basically said the U.S. is going to fall, and it's going to continue falling until it falls so far that it now becomes economical to start pumping into the U.S. But we haven't even started really falling yet.
No, because we have to get on par where it was almost unfathomable to think that our standard of living would go so far down as like the average person in China who's working in a factory, right?
I just posted a picture of a little girl, probably 2 years old. 2 years old, asleep on the grass on the sidewalk in Mexico City here. And she stands on the street all day long with her and her it's 2 women, and they have 4 children between them. And the children are probably infant, like breastfeeding, up to like 5. And the kids don't go to school. They stand there on the sidewalk and with their mother, and they just lay out food items or whatever trinkets they have, hoping you'll buy something. And the little girls' jobs are to play cute and to hold things so you feel sorry for them. And that is coming to the United States, folks. That's coming to the U.S. because when the government doesn't have the money, imagine the chaos when the EBT cards start working.
Well, I think they lull you into a sense of complacency, like, oh, get a government job and you always have that easy money rolling in, or work like my wife as a teacher for a while and you'll have that easy money coming in. And then when everyone's complacent, they do a rug pull like COVID. Okay, now everyone get vaxxed. If you want to keep your government job at the DMV, you're going to get vaxxed. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And then so they got you, like, boom. So you never want to be leaning on government or an institution that is like that, because they don't care about you as people. Government doesn't care about people. Politicians don't care about people. It's just control. They want to be the next ones in control, no matter where the power is.
Yeah, well, let's wrap it up here. We've been going over 3 hours, but I just want to end by saying, and you know this already, Aaron, and I know Dan knows it, is we're going to die.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Well, a lot of these boomers never think they're going to die. That's why they reject God.
That's right.
All right? And the bottom line is that should give you strength. If you embrace Jesus Christ, that should give you strength to stand your ground, because whether you die today or you die in 20 years, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of time.
No.
And if you're saved, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, tomorrow isn't promised for any of us. We're just trying
and happiness isn't promised.
No, you could suffer forever from here on out, and that's like what Job went through, right? All that suffering. I mean, it wasn't promised, and what a lesson. And so we're just going to have to continue to treat each other as best as we can and be good to one another. That's all we can do, man. But I appreciate you guys letting me in on your talk today. I had a great time. A really, really great time. And I think a lot of us gold guys or silver bugs are going to be not wrong, just early. We like, for how many years have we been thinking it's going to be the thing? It's going to be the thing to be in.
It's the proverbial saying, it's better to be a year early than a day late.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you wish I mean, for those people who don't have anything, they probably wish they were buying 5 years ago when you could buy an ounce of silver with the premiums included, delivered for 12, 14 bucks an ounce
Yeah.
for silver.
I think that we're if we do go down, because we talked about it pumping up to 100,000 Dow or possibly rolling over and having a decade of total annihilation.
We'll know this year.
We'll know what direction it's heading in. But I will say this: if we roll over, I'm looking at single digit silver, and that's where I think we'll be getting it in the 6s, 7s, 8s an ounce. I think the reason why they'll do that is because, remember, they pump what they want to dump, and they dump what they want to pump. And so what they're going to do is demoralize every one of us who's been bag holding gold and silver, and they're going to rub our faces in it that we're stupid for ever investing in this and holding long term for years and years, and then they'll let it up and it's going to explode. So don't lose faith. Have faith that doesn't matter what asset you put your money into. If you have enough patience, you will be rewarded.
Well, and liquidity as well.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Even those poor people that bought the top of Bitcoin, okay, if they have enough patience, they'll be rewarded also. They'll come out all right. But it's digging deep and being able to ride it out. And that, as a trader, learning patience was one of my biggest lessons for myself, as looking inside and saying, I need to have more patience. I need to not be so hasty in either my execution of buying or selling. So
yeah, and no doubt about it. No doubt about it. All and patience is important, but also if sizing properly and not leveraging yourself to where you can't afford to hold on.
Yeah. If you're a doer, you're like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this thing or conquer this list of things to do today. It's hard for you to trade because you believe in your heart that if you push hard enough, you'll make it happen.
Right.
No, the markets have to come to you. And so as a doer, it was hard for me to look at things. Well, I'll just double down. I'll double down again. And I was like, oh man, I just wrecked myself. Right. So it's okay. I'd love to chat with you and share charts with you in the future about patterns that I see. I love that lately you've been talking about the M and the W.
We were going to do that today, and we kind of it's probably my number one fault as a host is I tend to let things go where they go rather than trying to keep it on a hard agenda.
It makes it more fun if you just let it flow. Sometimes my favorite interviews are when they just go. I love just being along for the ride. The M and the W that you guys talked about earlier, when I first discovered that, I thought it was some genius. I was so excited when I heard about that. When I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's going to make this pattern. It's going to do this, but I mean, even more, as I mentioned last week, even more so today, with computers doing so much of the trading, those patterns have a lot more strength to them. These things, because when the algorithms all play out, and so they follow the same patterns. So it's if you can recognize the patterns, you'll save yourself some pain. I think that's why I love trading so much. It's changed my life. It has absolutely changed my life.
Yeah, well,
I look at everything as a trade now. Everything. But dude, the used car market was booming like about a year ago, right? You could sell a used truck for just 4 times more than you could have normally gotten. And I was like,
right.
Yeah. And I was like, do I sell this truck? And I was like, no, I'm not going to sell. I love it too much. It's all sentimental. But I knew the top of that market. And I was like, this is great. Anyway, love you guys. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for sharing your
thank
platform
you.
with me.
I'm glad. Dan and I are always happy to talk to like-minded people, or even we're happy to talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Even if somebody doesn't agree with us, Because Dan, are you there? This guy's unbelievable. He's Mr. IT and he can't even operate a computer. There you are. Are you on mute? You're on mute. Your stupid computer again.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he's going to have to shut up.
Yeah, I think he froze.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Unbelievable. You're gone. You're again. Your computer. Didn't you learn last time not to use that piece of crap?
Is he?
Dan, you going to give us sign language?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, but anyway, yeah, it's good to listen to your guys' videos. Yeah, there's Dan. Give me a thumbs up. Awesome, man.
So next time we can try a live stream where people can come on and
that'd be fun.
And chat with the group.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I love.
Maybe we'll set that up. Maybe we'll set that up for next Saturday. Maybe.
That sounds good. Yeah, I love the back and forth between you and Dan. It's so great.